Phil Hellmuth doesn't just win, he wins big. From the tables of Las Vegas to glamorous appearances worldwide, his life is a spectacle of wealth, ego, and unrelenting drive. But what really lies beneath the surface of this controversial figure? Is he the poker brat the world loves to hate, or is there a deeper side to his story? By the end of this video, you'll see Phil Hellmuth's lifestyle in ways you never imagined, including the highs, the lows, and everything in between.
It's the three of clubs! It's a straight flush for Hellmuth! And it's his first PGT title!
Wow. Good hand then. Good battle.
Long before the bright lights of Vegas, Phil Hellmuth's life began in the unassuming city of Madison, Wisconsin. As the eldest of 5 children in a family that valued academic excellence above all else, the expectations placed on Phil were immense. His father, a stern and disciplined professor at the University of Wisconsin, envisioned his son excelling in academics and following a traditional path to success. But for young Phil, school was a constant struggle. He wrestled with low grades, often feeling like the black sheep of the family, overshadowed by his high-achieving siblings. Frustrated and misunderstood, Phil found solace in competitive games. From chess to board games to a simple deck of cards, he quickly realized his knack for outthinking opponents, turning even unfavorable situations into opportunities to win. By the time he enrolled at the University of Wisconsin, Phil's confidence had taken a beating, but everything changed during a casual poker game in his dorm room. For the first time, he felt like he'd found something he could control, a world where his sharp instincts and calculated risks could thrive. Phil became obsessed. He'd spend hours studying the game, skipping classes to refine his strategy. He wasn't just playing to win, he was playing to prove a point, to himself and to everyone who doubted him. His early struggles had given him a unique edge, resilience. It didn't matter if he stumbled, he'd keep coming back, stronger and more determined than ever. Little did his college poker buddies know, they weren't just playing with an ambitious student, they were playing with the future poker brat. The early years weren't easy. Phil traded dorm room games for smoky backroom cash games filled with grizzled veterans who thrived on intimidating young upstarts. He suffered crushing losses, barely scraped together enough to keep playing, and often questioned whether he'd made the right decision. But for every setback, Phil found a way to adapt. He studied his opponents relentlessly, refining his strategy and building the mental toughness that would later define his career. By 1989, roughly 4 years after he left college to play full-time, Phil wasn't just a hopeful college dropout, he was a battle-hardened grinder who had earned his seat at the World Series of Poker main event. The stakes couldn't have been higher. Across the table was Johnny Chan, the 2-time defending champion and one of the most feared players in poker history. The pressure was immense, but Phil thrived in it. With nerves of steel and an uncanny ability to read his opponent, he pulled off one of the biggest upsets in poker history, defeating Chan and becoming the youngest WSOP main event champion at just 24 years old. That moment wasn't just about the money or the title, it was about validation. Every doubter who said poker wasn't a real career, every opponent who dismissed him as an inexperienced kid had been proven wrong. Phil Hellmuth wasn't just a player anymore, he was a legend in the making. Phil Hellmuth's style of play is as distinctive as his personality. Often described as tight aggressive, he's known for waiting patiently for premium starting hands and then playing them with relentless aggression. But Hellmuth's true edge comes from his unparalleled ability to read his opponents. He's a master of spotting tells, the way someone handles their chips, the length of a glance at their hole cards, or even the smallest shift in body language. All these details reveal volumes to him. In his own words, a lot is revealed by players' hands in poker, and he uses every detail to his advantage. Hellmuth has built a career on adapting to the table dynamics. If the table plays too tight, he raises more frequently. If his opponents are passive, he capitalizes by betting aggressively. He thrives on exploiting even the smallest weaknesses, a strategy he refers to as white magic. According to Hellmuth, his success isn't just about the cards, it's about making better decisions and reading his opponents more accurately than anyone else. However, his approach has its critics. Phil often dismisses modern poker trends, like the heavy reliance on mathematics embraced by today's online stars. While legends like Daniel Negreanu have pointed out that Phil's resistance to change can be a disadvantage, Hellmuth continues to prove his critics wrong. With 17 WSOP bracelets, 216 cashes, and 64 final table appearances, the most in poker history, his results speak for themselves. His live tournament winnings now exceed 30 million, cementing his place as one of the game's all-time greats. But it's not just his achievements that make Phil Hellmuth unforgettable, it's his theatrical approach to the game. From his infamous late entrances at tournaments to his dramatic outbursts at the table, he's a showman in every sense of the word. If he's not dazzling fans with his reads, he's frustrating rivals with his antics. There's no denying that Phil Hellmuth has left an indelible mark on poker. Outside of poker, Phil Hellmuth's personality doesn't just shine, it demands attention. Dubbed the Poker Brat for his fiery table antics, he carries that same energy into his personal life. Phil thrives in the spotlight, regularly attending exclusive events where he mingles with Hollywood stars, sports legends, and tech billionaires. From red carpet galas to private gatherings in Silicon Valley, Phil places himself at the heart of the action. Reveling in the spotlight, his poker success has earned him. His entrances at tournaments are a spectacle of their own. Phil has turned arriving late into an art form, strolling in long after play has begun and immediately stealing the show. But it's not just the timing of his entrances that grabs attention, it's the outfits. From Roman Emperor costumes to outfits adorned with his signature black and gold branding, Phil knows how to make an impression before a single card is dealt. For him, poker isn't just a competition, it's a stage, and he's the star performer. Despite the theatrics, Phil is deeply grounded by his family. He often credits his wife, Catherine, and their 2 sons as the stabilizing force in his life. In interviews and social media posts, he shares heartfelt moments that reveal a softer side, far removed from the brash persona he projects at the table. No matter how hectic his tournament schedule or how intense his rivalries, his family remains his top priority. Phil's preparation for tournaments is as unique as his style. He swears by routines like meditation, yoga, and visualization techniques, which he believes are key to staying mentally sharp and maintaining his legendary focus. For Phil, poker is as much a mental game as it is a strategic one, and he takes every possible step to keep his edge. Phil Hellmuth keeps people talking, be it through his bold outfits, fiery reactions to bad beats, or heartfelt reflections on gratitude. His flamboyant personality, balanced with moments of humility and self-awareness, has made him one of the most captivating figures in poker history. Few figures in poker have relationships as electrifying and multifaceted as Phil Hellmuth's. Picture a man who can ignite rivalries with a single sarcastic smirk, yet form bonds so unshakable they rival the longevity of his career. At the heart of poker's most famous feuds is his legendary clash with Daniel Negreanu. The two are polar opposites. Negreanu, the champion of modern strategies, sees Hellmuth as a relic of a bygone era, while Phil fires back with his record-breaking results. Their heated debates over poker philosophy have produced moments of drama that fans savor, from sharp-witted jabs to high-stakes duels dripping with tension. But rivalry isn't the only thread in Phil's tapestry of relationships. Among poker's elite, he's forged connections with legends like Doyle Brunson and Antonio Esfandiari, players who've stood shoulder to shoulder with him in the ever-shifting poker arena. With Mike Matusow, he shares a camaraderie built on decades of battles, late-night stories, and shared triumphs, showcasing a side of Phil rarely seen in his poker brat persona. And then there's his relationship with the public, a swirling cocktail of adoration and criticism. To some, Phil Hellmuth is poker's misunderstood genius, a man who turns intuition into art at the table. To others, he's the epitome of ego, a player whose outbursts and theatrics can overshadow his brilliance. His ability to flip the switch from fiery tantrums to warm fan engagement is uniquely Phil. One moment, he's berating an opponent for a ridiculous play, and the next, he's snapping selfies with fans, his grin as wide as his bracelet count. The media has been both a mirror and a megaphone for Phil. From poker TV staples like High Stakes Poker to candid interviews and podcast appearances, he's a natural storyteller who knows how to keep an audience hooked. Phil doesn't just tell stories, he performs them, blending self-promotion, humor, and a dose of humility to remind everyone why he's a household name in poker. But the most remarkable relationship Phil has is with the game itself. Over 3 decades, as trends have come and gone and new generations have risen to challenge him, Phil has remained a constant, a mountain standing tall against the winds of change. Critics may call his style outdated in the era of GTO and solver-driven strategies, but Phil continues to prove that poker isn't just about math. It's about heart, instinct, and knowing when to seize the moment. He's redefined what it means to endure in a game where even legends fade fast. Phil Hellmuth is a man of contradictions, fiery yet loyal, theatrical yet genuine, outdated yet timeless, sparking rivalries, nurturing friendships, or captivating fans and critics alike. He's crafted a legacy that stretches far beyond the poker table. Love him or hate him, Phil has ensured that his story is one poker will never forget. Phil's legacy lies in the way he made poker feel bigger, bolder, and infinitely more human. He brought life to the table, with tantrums that became memes, rivals who became his foil, and victories that silenced even the harshest critics. His infamous outbursts, "You're the worst player in the world," weren't just about ego. They were about creating a narrative, a moment, something unforgettable. But imagine, for a moment, that Phil Hellmuth never existed. The poker world would be quieter, sure. No dramatic entrances, no volcanic eruptions of frustration, no poker Brat to love or loathe. Without him, poker might still be a game of skill and chance, but would it be a spectacle? Would the WSOP feel as grand without its ultimate showman holding the all-time bracelet record? Would the casual fan ever have tuned in to see what might happen next? Not on the board, but in Phil's head? Phil's true gift is that he made poker personal. To fans, he's an icon who embodies the highs and lows of the game. To rivals, he's a puzzle, a man who seems to defy the modern era with his white magic, while continuing to rack up titles. To the media, he's a goldmine of stories, sound bites, and viral moments, and to poker itself, he's a lifeline, reminding everyone that this isn't just a game of solvers and spreadsheets, it's a game of characters, of personalities that make the stakes matter. Phil Hellmuth's future is a vision as bold as his personality. He's made it clear. 24. WSOP bracelets are not just a dream, they're a destiny he's determined to fulfill. With 17 already in his collection and plans to play into his 80s, Phil has the time, experience, and drive to make it happen. It's an ambitious goal, but ambition has always been Phil's fuel. As he continues to compete at the highest level, averaging a bracelet every 2 years, his relentless consistency suggests he may very well pull off the impossible. But it's not just about the bracelets for Phil. It's about evolving with the game. While he remains steadfast in his belief in white magic, his mastery of reading opponents, he acknowledges the ever-growing influence of solvers and GTO strategies. He's hinted at further refining his skills, particularly in mixed games, where he's already found success in formats like Raz and No Limit 2-7 Lowball. For Phil, the challenge is not just staying relevant, but proving that his instincts can continue to triumph in an increasingly data-driven era. Phil is also focused on poker's broader future. He's optimistic about the resurgence of young players discovering the game, driven by influencers like Mr. Beast, who bring poker to an entirely new audience. Phil sees this as a golden opportunity for the game to thrive and grow, with social media and streaming platforms acting as the new gateway to poker's next generation. He's not just excited about the shift, he wants to be part of it, mentoring and promoting the game he loves to ensure its continued evolution. Beyond the tables, Phil's aspirations are just as ambitious. He envisions expanding his reach as an author, speaker, and entrepreneur, using his book, Positivity and Its Principles, to inspire millions. He's spoken about the potential to promote his 8 life tips on a global scale, believing they could change lives far beyond the poker world. Even his offhand comments about becoming a billionaire hint at a future where his influence extends beyond cards, into realms where his personality and vision can leave a lasting impact. Phil's journey is far from over. As he's often said, he's always in the right place at the right time, and with decades of poker ahead, he's making sure that place is front and center in the world he's helped shape. Phil Hellmuth doesn't see an end to his story. He sees a new beginning every time he takes a seat at the table. Whether it's chasing more WSOP bracelets, mentoring the next wave of poker players, or bringing the game to entirely new audiences, Phil's impact isn't just about what he's done, it's about what he'll do next. And if history has taught us anything, it's that betting against Phil Hellmuth is never a good idea. But while Phil's story is all about bold entrances and relentless ambition, his longtime rival Daniel Negreanu approaches life with a completely different flair. Curious how poker's most outspoken star lives away from the table. Click here to check out our deep dive into Negreanu's lifestyle and see how these two icons stack up.